Well, it's the program this morning on ITV, and we are on to Aviation Today's segment. My name is Gabriel Okuma, and I have in the studio an aviation freak and an expert in that sector that knows so much about aircraft and how they run, and he'll be telling us how they are maintained. You know, when you look at aircraft, you know, flying up above the sky, you're wondering, what kind of machine is this? Are they maintained the same way cars are being maintained? He will be telling us all of that today. My guest in the studio is Gordy Ike. You are welcome to the program.
Good morning, Gabriel. How are you today?
I'm fine.
How was your weekend?
Yeah, fine. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you. And my dear viewers, please welcome to the program.
Okay. You know, I grew up thinking, you know, yes, each time I get to, you know, in those my tender years,
yes,
each time I get to, you know, hear the sound of an airplane, I'll come out and I'll watch it until it goes out of appearance. And I'll be wondering, how do we maintain these aircraft? Are they like automobiles where we take to the mechanic and a guesswork is done? It might be this, it might be this and this. How do we maintain it? How do we run the maintenance of aircraft?
It's awesome, really, really awesome. There's no guesswork in maintenance of airplanes.
Okay.
It's a very serious and highly technical you know, exercise. Okay. Everything is done with precision. Of course, the tools are there. Once you have the appropriate tools, feed them in. They tell you exactly what's going on, both internally with the engine, with the body frame. Yeah. As a matter of fact, the body frame is gone to the point that some of these, you know, small flying machines, what do we call them now again, with multiple, you know,
with the drones.
The drones. It's got to the point that drones have been, you know, manufactured to fly very close to the body of the airplane and take a reading of the tensile strength of those aluminum alloys with which the body of the airplane is made. They are said to be virtually indestructible. I mean, I'm talking about the aluminum, you know, alloy, you know, with which the body of the airplane is made, except when there's a crash. But it's as good as running forever. Okay. Yeah, but then once in a while, especially during thunderstorm and lightning, once an airplane takes a strike, it makes sense that as soon as that plane touches down, that the body frame will be investigated to see if there is any you know, form of stress, you know, or crack of any sort.
Yes,
and all kinds of equipment being you know, manufactured and put in place. You know, precise tools, and of course, those who are engaged in maintenance are licensed. Okay, it's not like in your car where
where you go by the roadside.
Some apprentice goes to learn how to fix one or two knots. He buys his tools, stay on the side of the road, and he's already a mechanic. And when you have issues and you are helpless, you drive in, and he begins
there's a lot of guesswork. Either this or
either fix your car or destroy it. That's not the issue with the airplane. Everything is regulated, especially by the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO. You know, the license, the mechanics, you know, in various, you know, fields. It's not a one-man business. Okay. Those who attend to the engines are specialists in that. Those who attend to the body frame are specialists, and those who attend to electronics are, you know, are specialists in those. It's an awesome. That's why I always describe it as
a faithful machine.
Faithful machine. They're full of the skies because human operators can be unfaithful, dishonest, and sometimes very irresponsible.
Okay, the distance alone, it goes up there, you know, in the clouds, about 36,000 feet above the sea level, 27,000 is something that nobody needs to, you know, play with or just joke with, because when there's a problem up there and it begins to come down, it is way over thousands of feet. Now, before you run through the slides that you have here, and we'll discuss them, where does Nigerian engineers stay? You know, what is their position in the world when it comes to aircraft maintenance?
You can ask that kind of question again as if you read my mind. As a matter of fact, we have a lot of awesome aeronautic engineers. Humbly, let me tell you, my own immediate elder brother is one of them.
Wow.
He's lived in the U.S. for about 48 years. Yes, I mean, immediately after his secondary school, he got in there. He's only been visiting, never been back to Nigeria. He worked for National Aeronautic and Space Administration, NASA, that awesome organization that sends rockets into the moon and the rest of them. That's where actually he retired. He worked for Boeing, the manufacturers of some of these awesome airplanes. And he's a Nigerian.
And he should be considering coming back to help the aviation sector here in Nigeria.
It's up to him. I actually spoke to him yesterday, and then he was talking to me about, on a few things that I will not reveal at the moment. Maybe when these things come to play, and I want to tell the history, I will remember to tell how it came about. So he's if you've been following my WhatsApp, aviation club, you would have seen a posting by one Dozier Ike. He came all the way from the U.S. Where he was commending our activities here, and it was really shocked and surprised about the volume of technical information released here. And he keeps saying to me, my brother, how do you do this? You were supposed to be an Civilian Valor.
Yeah.
And I said, I am a disruptor, an aviation disruptor. I will change the face of aviation in Nigeria. God keeping me alive. I have plans. I'm not just joking. Yeah, so that's about Nigerians. Nigerians are all out there doing great. One of the best structural engineers in where is it in the U.S.? Is it Florida that this guy is? Yes, it's somewhere in Florida. Acclaimed by Americans to be the best around. He's a Nigerian.
Wow.
An Igbo man. A young man from my hometown, Newi, in Anambra State. I mean,
Newi has great people, by the way.
It's not just about having great people. Nigerians are awesome out there. I was reading on the internet, the other day about this guy who bought Gatwick Airport, from the southwest. What was that his name? Who owns about 3 other, awesome airports, out there in England. And he transformed Gatwick Airport from, a money-losing enterprise to an enterprise that is beginning to make profit. And the place, they say that the experience is awesome. As a matter of fact, I was moved by the advert made, about the nature and look of Gatwick. The next time I'm going to be traveling to the UK, I will route my flight through Gatwick to see
just to
with
see.
my own eyes what's been described, so that I will not be saying that this is looking like photo trade. Because if you see the video clip and the photo of what this Nigerian turned Gatwick Airport to, you would never believe it's on this earth. And so the way to say, yes, I've been there, I saw myself, it's exactly what I saw on the video and the picture that I saw on ground, is to get an opportunity to fly through Gatwick and say, hey, here is Nigeria in UK, Nigerian businessman, Nigerian investment expert.
Running a successful business.
This country is called Nigeria is awesome, with a lot of very intelligent people, with a lot of very skillful people. We just have a little systemic problem that we are looking out for a rescuer, someone to just take what's the word I'm looking for right now?
Take the bull by the horn.
To take the bull by the horn and say enough of the nonsense.
Let's get things done the right way.
Get all the nonsensical attitude out of the way. Set a stage for young people to express themselves. Protect our intellectual property rights. Is one of the greatest problems we have here. A lot of young people are loaded with ideas, but they fear that if they write a proposal to some organization, especially government agencies, some blockhead there, steals it in.
Steals it and maybe give it to the children who know next to nothing about it.
And stuff like that. And the individual that's stolen from is just too powerless to fight and get justice. So it's one of the areas that we need to, it's not about just crime and corruption. Intellectual property issues is one of the things keeping us down. We have a lot of intelligent people in this country. I mean, you may want to hear this from me. I have an intellectual property issue in court right now for 500 billion against one of the government agencies. It's right there in the Federal High Court. So, I mean, it's unacceptable, you know, what's going on. So these are these little systemic problems. Once we resolve them, Nigeria might just rule the world. This country is awesome.
Okay. Let's take the ride into maintenance of aircraft.
Let's get running with let's get running. Click one, please.
Okay.
Here we go. Definition of aircraft maintenance. Excuse me. Aircraft maintenance can be defined as the overhaul, repair, inspection, or modification of an aircraft or aircraft component. Ensuring compliance with airworthiness directives or service bulletins is the mission of the aircraft maintenance. You see, there is always airworthiness directives as directed by ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Organization. Yes.
And from the introduction, I can see that it's either a total maintenance or just a component. Maintenance.
Anything you want to do in the airplane is to be done properly well. There's no room for management. It's got to be done thoroughly well by a certified engineer who must possess license. And anytime such an engineer, out of human factor, you know, does something unacceptable, he is stripped of his license. And if he gets a chance, he goes back for another round of training and a second and perhaps last chance in his whole life to come here in the airplane if he misbehaves again.
Okay, so you can just go through the process twice and not more.
That's what it is. You know, sometimes, depending on the magnitude of the misbehavior or something you did wrong,
you might not even have an opportunity again.
Sent away for life.
Okay.
That's how seriously it's taken. It's not a joke. You know, so we go on with paragraph 3, the last paragraph of clip 1. In order to ensure safe and correct functioning of aircraft during flight, maintenance is highly regulated within the confines of international standards as directed by the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO. Maintenance tasks, personnel, and inspections are heavily regulated, and workers must be licensed for the tasks they carry out. Right, that's the way it is. Let's take a look at clip 2, please. There we have the global size of maintenance, repair, overhaul, you know, formerly known as MRO. You know, I'm sure you've had quite a couple of people on TV as soon as the mention of Nigeria Air came. People were talking about MRO. Do we have it, you know, to ensure that we maintain, you know? But research has just shown me that in order for the money required to be spent on MRO to be worthwhile, we need to have a minimum fleet of about 60 aircraft in service. Otherwise, we must outsource these services or get other smaller African nations that can come to service their airplanes here. So it's got to be worked out, you know, thoroughly, and the contacts reaching out must be made to get people who say, listen, if you set up this, rather than go to Europe or go to so place or go to South Africa, or come to Nigeria, to have them fixed. So there has to be a feasibility and viability appraisals. And I am here if you need help.
And I think that will cost Nigeria less.
Sorry?
I think that will cost them less.
That's correct.
Than going out to repair
but it depends on if you set it up. Can the airplanes we have in service in Nigeria make it worthwhile? We're going to see, you know, what's involved in this as we get on with our claims. This is only part 1. This topic of aircraft maintenance is so awesome that we may run up to part 4 or 5 to exhaust it. It's quite a huge topic, right? And it can actually make a book. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to clip 1 now.
I think you're considering
clip 2. Sorry.
I think you are considering doing that very soon.
Oh, sure. I'm working. All right. I'm taking my time. The timing has to be right before I release it. I'll release them rather because I have quite a couple of them, you know, in the pipeline. Right. Aircraft production market in 2015 recorded a whopping $180.3 billion US dollars. Just 2015 figure. Aircraft maintenance worldwide. Yes.
That's huge money. $3 billion US dollars.
So it's awesome. As a matter of fact, if we set up and conquer the entire West and East Africa, and they come in here to maintain, it may begin to compete with oil in delivering cash to Nigeria. We haven't been thinking.
Isn't that worthwhile?
Or maybe I'm going to take responsibility that I haven't taken a punch and asking one of the aviation ministers of the past that, do you know you have an expert here who can really tell you things that you don't hear elsewhere? and how to get this thing going and make a big deal out of it. I remember in the days when we were playing football as little boys, excuse me, our parents used to smack us on the bum to say, "Oh, come on, you're not serious. Go and study and leave that what the houses would call that iska, business." Football was looked at as that iska business. But today, it's a big deal. Rolling billions and trillions of dollars in income worldwide, and so you can make a hype and a big issue of anything. So in the same way, we can set up a system here and get the entire Africa to begin to come to Nigeria and forget crossing the Mediterranean and to go and maintain airplanes, and you see that business will begin to chase crude oil.
Wow.
And maybe we're going to chase crude oil away from the system and say, come on, go take a backbone. So let's move on. Closely pursuing this figure, the same year was maintenance, repair, overhaul, that is the MRO market, which recorded $135.1 billion US dollars.
Wow.
Yes, representing 3/4 of aircraft production market for the same period. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Just MRO generated figure that's representing 3/4 of production of airplanes for the same year, worldwide. Isn't that huge?
That's huge, huge sum of money.
We need a slice of that sweet cake. We need it as a nation.
Yes.
Yeah, but we'll have to work. It's not about just setting up things and they're lying there wasting and they're not being patronized. Then that would be very stupid. I think we shouldn't do anything like that. Yeah. Civil aviation got 60% of the market, while military aviation trailed by 40%. Experts are projecting that between 2017 and 2026,
worldwide market.
That's about 10 years, isn't
about
it?
10 years from now.
Yes, worldwide market for MRO will hit 900 billion US dollars.
That is close to $1 trillion US dollars.
That's correct. North America is projected to do 23% of that figure. Western Europe, 22%. And Asia Pacific, 19%. If you add up all these figures, whatever is left will be shared by the rest of the world and Africa. Africa may not get up to 2%. Let's see. If you take a look at the photographs there, you see on the left an airplane that's got its engine stripped and actually taken out and lying. Can you see the engine port?
Yes.
Is up for maintenance. All right. And the other one is actually a war jet that is also undergoing maintenance work by certified and licensed engineers. So those are the pictures you have on the screen. Can we go to clip 3 very quickly, please? Clip 3. Records, we are still dealing with the global size of maintenance repair overhaul market. Okay. Records have it that in 2017, airlines spent $70 billion US dollars on maintenance, repair, and overhaul, MRO. 31% were for engines, 27% for components, 24% for line maintenance, 10% for modifications, and 8% for airframe. Okay? Out of above figure, mature airlines such as airliners, mature airliners such as Airbus, A320 and A330, Boeing 777 Classic, Boeing 747 and Boeing 757 go up 70% of that money. All right? You see how it's been described as mature airliners. But now, contrast that with sunset aircraft. Those that are fading away, that are leaving, the market area right now. The older airplanes, MD-80, Boeing 737 Classic. The hard 23%. 23%,
yeah.
As your fair share. This is a topographical error. My dear viewers, please correct. We meant to write Omega 7% was spent. The word there was supposed to be mega, so please correct accordingly. Was spent on modern aircraft models such as Boeing 787, Embraer E-Jet, Airbus A350 XWB, and A380 or some A380. You heard about that?
I've heard about A380. Yes.
Very well. Right. Further projections by experts have it that by the end of 2018, commercial aviation industry will have spent 88 billion US dollars for MRO. By the end of this year.
By the end of this year. Which means it's an increase from what we had in 2017.
That's correct. Yeah, you're following, my dear. You're following. That's correct.
Yeah.
Why military aircraft would have got 79.6 billion US dollars. So why shouldn't we set up this awesome business and
make the money,
and make all the money, and of course woo all the West African nations, woo all the East African nations. Our great friends we have at the frontline states in southern part of Africa. We can actually reach out.
And that
crossing the Mediterranean is not a mean joke. So if you don't have to cross the Mediterranean and you have all the services done as well as can be, what you lose? You lose nothing. Rather, you save money.
And it will be a point of tourism too.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what we call that for now, but I think it's
we just keep thinking it through. We just keep thinking it through, and then we'll take it from there. But I just hope someone somewhere is listening, and it's my hope that somebody will begin to give a good thought to this, and do not fail to talk to us. Right. Further research shows that, let's click forward now. Further research shows that small airlines with a fleet below 50 to 60 aircraft will find in-source maintenance inefficient. So if you have less than 50 to 60 airplanes in service, then setting up MRO will be counterproductive. You just spend all the money and never recover it. So by anywhere from 60, 100, 200, 300, like the awesome Emirates that's rolling with almost 500 aircraft at the moment, or much more than that.
That's quite a large fleet.
They started with 2 borrowed airplanes at a time that our own Nigeria Airways was the talk of the world. And they borrowed 2 airplanes to start their business. What am I even talking about? I think their fleet is almost 700 plus. 700. Right now. And the best and brand new ones. If you go to
it goes around the world.
Airbus, in Toulouse, the Airbus industry, look at the orders there. 80% of them is from Emirates. Even planes that will be delivered in the next 10 years have been paid for today. And so, what are we talking about? We just need to get serious. We've joked for too long. We've joked for too long, Gabriel.
And we need to have people who experts, you know, playing it out in their field.
That's the bane of the matter we have here. It's the bane of the matter. And it's not about experts, you know, only about possessing certificates. No, it's good to possess
having the
certificates.
technical.
But you've got to have the information and knowledge right in your head.
Yes.
It's got to be there.
Yes.
So, let's begin to understand what knowledge is all about. It's not only about certificates. I often say to anyone that will also listen to me, if you think I'm talking nonsense, challenge me.
Better qualifications.
All right, so click 4. I've just said that further research shows that small airlines with a fleet below 50 to 60 aircraft will find in-source maintenance inefficient. They have to either outsource or sell its MRO services to other carriers for better resource utilization. Can you see that? If we outsource them by, you know, when we are not able to meet up with the minimum requirement to make it, to break even, then we'll continue to do what we are doing right now. Each time an airplane has a problem, we fly across the Atlantic or across the Mediterranean and
go fix it.
And go fix it.
And that costs you a fortune.
Or a whole fortune. And these planes will travel with our passengers, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's another loss, by the way.
Oh yes, yes. They will travel with our passengers through and through. So you can imagine the colossal waste. You know. So we should be able to do it here and then advertise and
I think we have what it takes to do that.
Yes, and lobby our neighbors to come and do the job here and then show that for once that we can be serious-minded people. As let's go back to that clip 4. Let's round off very quickly. As examples, experts cite the fact that South African Comair's 26 Boeing 737's maintenance is outsourced to South African Airways technical department. And Spain's Air Nostrum, which operates 45 CRJs and the ATR 72s, those are plane models.
Okay.
Yes. Outsources is 300-person maintenance department to other airlines 20% of the time. So you can see they've got the MRO in place, but because they don't have enough airplanes to break even, 20% of their time they attend to people who come from outside. Okay, so this is the kind of thing that we must seek to be doing. There are a couple of, I mean, if you look at that photo, okay, it's come back to us, you will see a Cessna. Show that clip 4 very quickly, and let's take a look at that. Can you see that small Cessna that has its engine tucked away like the engine of a car?
A car, yeah.
Where, single rotor engine, you know, more often than not, this used by private people, you know, to fly short distances within, say, running from here, from Abuja to Enugu to Kano, you know, doing your private thing, and as well for training. You know, those are the kind of airplanes used for those kind of services. Yeah. Flip for us some of the photographs there. Let's see if we can explain one or two things with those are available. Now you can see that you know, airplane that has one of its engine dropped on the ground and being maintained. That's the way it works. Can you see an engineer, you know, standing on one of those lifts that they use to reach the top of the airplane? Can you see that? You know, so a huge maintenance work, and this is looking to me like a D check, you know, because that's where you really have everything stripped off. Road to the next one quickly. Let's run out of this studio because we're running out of time. You can see engineers working on another airplane. Next one very quickly. You know, do we see have another photo to take a look at and see how these things go? One of these days we're going to be seeing these kind of photos in black, you know, skins. There will be photos taken here in Nigeria, you know, by our awesome Nigerian engineers who would have been, you know, trained and be doing our MRO for us. So that's it for the for the day.
Yeah.
You know, so we if you have questions, you can ask.
Okay, time is no longer our friend.
Yes,
yes,
as usual.
Yes, we'll save some of the questions for next week, Monday
we'll do part 2
again.
next week.
Okay.
It's an awesome, huge topic.
Okay,
I hope we'll be able to finish with part 5 or 6 or the other.
Okay.
I'll take it all through to the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You've been watching the program Aviation Today, and Mr. Godike is here to tell you all that you need to do to know about aircraft maintenance, and he's talking from an expert point of view, and that's where we wrap up today's program. He'll be here again next week, Monday, to continue with the part 2 of aircraft maintenance. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you. And let's meet again next week, my dear viewers.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We'll now take a quick break. When we return, we'll have another interview segment. Stay with us.